everybody wants different, everybody this and that. Some things I don't like, but I deal with it, because that's a part of life. And we have to adjust. Let's not still continue to be in this, every time it's always somebody on, my family not gonna like this. My family don't like a lot of things, but we'll accept a lot of things in Madison County. So think about it as the money, revenue for the infrastructure, like he said earlier. For golf, we like golf. Campers, it's about to be football season. They come here, they migrate when it's cold and hot. Think about all that money for the local businesses that people go and buy food. They like fresh produce, they come to my store and buy it. They don't have to go to Winn-Dixie, pick and save, or Clothes Farm. We have that type of thing. So it makes it better for us and more competitive for us, because some people like fresh things. So I appreciate y'all's time, y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Well,
Good morning, gentlemen. Gary Henderson, lifetime resident of Madison, Florida, before a few years serving for our country. I have been a member of the country club for over 50 years. My family, great aunt on Robert's drugstore way before Comer's and that. We go out there for a time of fellowship and good time. I'm also an RV camper. We travel North Florida, South Georgia all the time, where these golf parks are at. The guys like to play golf, the women go shopping, they buy the steaks or whatever for the cookouts that we might be having. I've been in these parks at night, all over the country. I mean, I travel different states. You can hear a pin drop at night. They're quiet. It's not like it's a rowdy bunch. It's a good breed of people that go to these parks, have a good time with family, and I think it enhances the community. Not only will it bring revenue in, like I said, we go to the grocery stores and buy our steaks or whatever we need. The women do this, they go shopping, they love to do that. So I encourage it. This is to me, is the most easiest, harmless vote that you'll ever make. What harm can it do to bring this business in? It's not like they're hurting the environment. It's not like this is happening. And like I said, the noise factor is really quiet. And campers, we come in one at a time. We don't convoy 100 campers in. You never see that. Just one here, one there. They have speed limits. So to me, I just want to speak up. I've been there. I was on board of the country club also back in the day. And the members we used to have has dwindled down because of the lack of activities in Madison now. This, to me, is a good vote for you guys to look to bring business in. And like I said, what harm is it to do this? So I encourage that. That's all I have. Thank you.
thank you, sir. I apologize. Before you come up, state your name.
Danny Sarah Arderi.
Step right up. Could you spell it?
Last name SERRA -ARDERI.
Thank you.
So with that last name, obviously, I'm not from Madison. And I don't live in Madison, but I.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. But I do. I'm co-owner of a new restaurant, CND Bistro. The reason that we decided for Madison is just the history. Yeah, it's a very beautiful town and stuff like that. And one thing I've noticed is in the last 20 years, the population of the town of Madison has gone down by half. And I actually researched that this morning. This town, unfortunately, I mean, is dying because of the lack of business, because of the lack of travelers and people. To be able to have this RV park at the country club, I think myself would definitely not only help my business, but everybody else in town as well. I mean, if you look at, let's say, you won't even have the full whatever spots they want to make, even if it's only half, let's say it's 45 RVers that could be there at any time, or even less. You got at least 2 people per RV. You're talking about almost $1,200 a day if they go out to a local restaurant, to a small family-owned restaurant. And even if you split that by 3 or 4 of them, that's still on a daily basis. That's gonna help increase the money that's coming into the town, that is gonna help us to be able to improve our locations, and it's definitely gonna bring a lot more money into this town. I really don't think it's gonna do any harm, having the RV park. It's only gonna be able to improve it. I myself, my life sits at that corner of C&D Bistro, so I want it to prosper. I wanna be able to provide the best food and, that this town has probably ever seen, whether that, or even tasted, whether that's, me giving myself a big head, I don't know, but it's how I feel about it. And I was hearing her speak, I mean, I can understand where she's coming from, I really do, but unfortunately, as a business, to be able to bring more to this town means a lot, because the last thing you want is to lose the history of a town in this country, because once it's gone, it's gone. So to be able to bring in more people, it's gonna bring more revenue, and it'll probably even bring more people that wanna move to this town. Because once they see what this town has, I mean, they're gonna wanna stay. I myself, I'm a city boy, I was raised in Miami, so, the small town, I like it, I like my space, I like to see all the history and stuff like that, and I would hate for Madison, for y'all to lose that. And of course, I definitely don't wanna lose my business, because of that, like I said, my life sits at that corner, and everything I have, my partner and my wife had our whole lives in this right here, and we did it because we wanna be able to bring so much more to this town, and we wanna be able to bring Madison people back into Madison. That population of 4,400 has dwindled down to 2,800. I wanna bring that back, and I wanna increase it. So that's what I look forward to. So I think by being able to improve this RV park, I think will make a huge difference. It would definitely help. You're talking back to the numbers, with the numbers I took, let's say as a restaurant, side of it, at $14 average ticket, 1 meal a day. You say you have 90 people that go out and eat just 1 meal a day from that RV park. You're talking about over $450,000 a year just in that one meal. I think that would do a whole lot to this town. That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Like we had Mr. Dicker.
I'm John Dicker, 193 Northwest Hamilton. We moved to Madison from Perry, Florida about 10 years ago. So we're not natives, but we do have some experience that people you're talking about today. I was on the Development Authority of Taylor County, and we were lucky enough, when I was chairman of the board, to get Tom's Foods there. Where your income comes from is from manufacturing, it's not from these service jobs. They don't pay much. So I think y'all are chasing the wrong thing. And also, when we moved to Madison, I was on the board 6 years ago when they gave away the country club. They didn't buy the country club, they gave it away with the promise that they would improve it. They did improve it, I agree, they improved it. The membership, you know, you can't control that. It's voluntary, but just what I'm disappointed in, and when they went around talking about putting in an RV park, it was 33 units. Now, 33, you know, they were going to take over their driving range. The driving range, they didn't have a whole lot of activity on it. Certainly they didn't make a lot of money on it. They just paid so much for a bucket of balls. But they also got rid of the putting green, built a platform over it. But you know, you hear all kinds of stories after you played your round of golf. You go, some are funny stories, some are stories about long ago, and some of the current stories. The one story we did not hear, I did not hear, is when they changed from 33 units to 95. This is an injustice. It wasn't publicized. They didn't even tell the members they were going from 33 to 95, unless a few select members might have known about it. So I think there's a lot of errors in the transition from 33 to 95. We're not against having an RV park. We're against having one that's gonna shut down the country club. This is gonna shut down the country club whether you realize it or not. And the country club is a big asset for this community. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Sir, come up, state your name, please.
My name is Dan Sullivan. I am a resident of Madison. I moved here about 5 years ago. I own property on 53. I am now a business owner as well. I am part owner of the C&D Bistro, and I welcome all of you to come there and eat sometime. I personally am in favor of this. I think a rising tide lifts all ships. There's been talk about stories, I've heard stories too, when Madison used to have a skating rink and a movie theater. We don't have those things anymore. And my question is why? Why do we have a growing population of teens who are getting into drugs, who are getting pregnant? It's because they have nothing to do. There seems to be a lot of people here that seem to be trapped here and they have no way to get out. And I believe that that is because there is no way out. You know, we've taken these jobs away, we've taken entertainment away, we've taken a sense of pride away from our town. And I think that, personally myself, I'm trying to push it back in. I believe that Madison is a beautiful town. I wouldn't have invested so much of my time and energy into it if I didn't believe that wholeheartedly. As far as the impoverished neighborhood, these people will need caddies. These people will need people to wash the golf carts, and it will bring jobs here. One man cannot do it alone. I know that from experience. I firmly believe that if you look at the back, we've made the bike loop, the horse track and hike, the canoes. Why did we make these investments if it wasn't to bring people to this community to do these things? So I think that the future of Madison is going to be very, very bright. And I think that allowing people to live and die and succeed and fail based on their own merit, you know, that's on them. If this RV park, which I think is terrible, it shouldn't be called an RV park. It should be called an RV resort. Let's step it up a little bit. It's, you know, the average RVer is from 45 to 65. They've got a medium income of $62,000. An RVer will save 42% on any vacation that they take. That's 42% more that they can spend on meals out, that they can spend on going and buying antiques. You know, these are real numbers, and they actually mean real things. So I think we should use this as a great opportunity to grow our community, as a way to look forward into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Would anyone else like, sir? How about, state your name.
Good morning, my name is Ray Curtis. I'm representing the country club in its application process, and I wanted to start by dovetailing off of what Mr. Sullivan was just talking to you about. You hear stories, but stories are anecdotal. People that make decisions based on a story, there may be one story that seems outrageous and it causes a change in policy. I always encourage people, and I have to remind myself from time to time, that the numbers don't lie. And that's what I'm playing off of with Mr. Sullivan and of course the business owners here. Now, I understand that the P and Z meeting and then an actual vote by the commission will come at a later date, and so this is just a preview of the numbers side of it. The numbers are, for those people that might be concerned about crime, I encourage you to do a Google search and click the news limitation, golf course RV park crime. Number of stories that pop up where crime occurred in the park, not from some outside person breaking in, 0, that's a number. Jobs created based on recreation, indirect jobs. For every job created, or for every 10 jobs created directly, 123% of indirect jobs are created. So for every 10, 12.3 additional outside jobs are created. I'm going to bring to you dollars that get spent there and how many times they will roll over in your community. The numbers that you've heard these businessmen, particularly the food vendors, talk about, that's real. If you're on vacation, whether you're in an RV or not, you go out to eat. You bring people here, they eat. And so that's a sampling of the numbers that I'm gonna bring to you on top of general concepts of what this would look like. The only thing that a number that I did want to offer a little clarification on, because I've heard referenced twice, is the concept that the country club came before P and Z and came before this board previously asking for an approval of a site plan for 33 sites. If you review your packet, you'll see the actual site plan, which in your LDRs is what you're approving. That's the engineer drawing. It was for the 75 sites. Now, there was no change. Your process requires you to submit, or for the applicant to submit a sketch or drawing, and there are sketches or drawings that were submitted, and then an actual engineered site plan, which your LDRs say your vote to approve incorporates the actual site plan. And so that has come before you. So I want to clarify that so you didn't leave this room today feeling as if there was some confusion about what your prior vote meant, at least in my opinion. A site plan is a term of art, it's a legal document, it's an engineering document, and your code makes specific reference to it. So I look forward to presenting before you in the future. I'm very thankful that even though that you had to table this today, that you gave the members of the public, business owners, concerned citizens the opportunity to speak. I think that helps us all be better prepared for the next time I'm before you, and gives us all an opportunity to go out and look into things a little bit ourselves. But we're looking forward to it. This is going to be a boon to the economy. It's anticipated that this improvement will be roughly $900,000 spent to complete this improvement, and a lot of that will go to local vendors that will be brought in. So Madison Golf and Country Club, they want to benefit Madison. They want to put money in your constituents' pockets that then rolls over again and again and again. They want to do it themselves, improving it, and they want to do it and bring outside money in. So we look forward to it, and we'll be prepared. I'll probably have something put up on the screen for you to kind of roll through with a little bit more detail, so you just don't have to listen to me talk. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak concerning the RV Park Country Club? Seeing no hands, hearing no requests, I'm gonna call for a 10-minute break, and we'll resume back at about 7 minutes after. Okay. All right, we'll call this meeting back to order, and we're gonna move on down to number 2. Lisa Hill, if you'll, are you with us?
I'm here.
Yep, here we go. Okay. Come right up.
Good morning. Do I just ask you to click? Put my eyes on. So, I don't have a dog in the country club. Race. But I did hear some comments about, lack of employment, lack of recreational things, and, so that sort of ties in with the project that we're working on out here, and how that contributes to the substance, the drug problem that we have in Madison and Taylor County. So, if you'll start. So first of all, this village, we're a nonprofit agency. We are a substance abuse treatment center. We have residential inpatient facilities for men and women. And we have been providing services in Madison County for a while. And we're trying to expand that. But currently what we do in-jail assessments. We also do in-jail substance abuse education. We have a counselor that's out here one day a week right now providing substance use treatment. We have a prevention specialist in one of the schools out here. We've also started implementing, telehealth and virtual therapy for people who can't, my office in Taylor County. So for people who can't get to Taylor County for their treatment, I can do it online with them. And then we also have started implementing limited, medication-assisted treatment. And what that means is we don't have a physician out here in Madison County that we currently work with, but we do, help people get into our program, and then they do have to go to Tallahassee to see the doctor. Next. So, I'm here to talk a little bit about the addendum that I sent out. And it's in relation to a project, that we're working on in Madison and Taylor County. And it's the Rural Communities Opioid Response, project. And there's two parts to it. So in September last year, we were awarded, this village was awarded funding for 1 year, to do a gap analysis and needs assessment in Madison and Taylor counties to identify the extent of the substance use problem in the two counties, and then identify service gaps in prevention, treatment, and recovery for substance use disorders in the two counties. The point of that 1 year project is then to present the gap analysis and the needs assessment, back to HRSA, to apply for $1 million in funding that is a 3-year implementation grant that would give the coalition 3 years to implement ideas that we propose as part of this 1 year planning project. So the Madison-Taylor Opioid Response Coalition was formed as part of the requirements of this planning project. We started as a consortium. We include for both counties. We have members from the health department, DCS, we have Appalachian Center represented. We have letters of support from the sheriff's departments in both counties. We also have, support from the school districts in both counties. Madison, County Memorial Hospital, is also involved. And what we've done is we've all come to the table to form a partnership and say, okay, we wanna work together long-term. And that includes seeking other sources of funding beyond just this particular project, because we don't wanna start something and then not be able to finish it. So the needs assessment is in your, if you got a green folder, that is the needs assessment that we put together, for the planning grant. And I hope you'll take time to look at it, because there's a lot of, I heard people talking about the importance of numbers. There's a lot of numbers in there, about why the drug problem is such a problem in the two counties. And also it outlines the things we're doing right in both counties as well, and those things that we have, the assets that we already have that we can take advantage of and use that, to sort of leverage ourselves and kick off our initiatives. The next slide. So some of the things, these are just the pieces that I picked out briefly because there were some of the items that I thought were kind of startling, for the two counties, but that opioid use was a factor in 50% of the drug-related deaths in the two counties. So 50%, which we don't have. I mean, we're small counties, both of us. We don't have a lot of deaths, but of those we have that are drug-related, half of them are opiates. The prescription rate is also astronomical compared to the state of Florida. And in Taylor County, you can see it's embarrassing. There's like, for every one person in Taylor County, they have more than one prescription for opiates. So it's a huge problem. And then also the next statistic is just the lack of behavioral health care workers. It's hard, you know, we got people talking about, industry and attracting businesses. It's hard to get people with master's degrees and doctorates and stuff to come and work in, sometimes in rural communities. So the next, go ahead.
Lisa, may I ask you a question? Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, sir.
Back up that one slide. So Madison County's rate is 74 per 100. So for every 100 people, 74.
So there are 74 opiate prescriptions. And that's, if you look in the need, that's actually in the needs assessment, and so you'll see where my references are for that. Yeah, but these are, you know, data that we were given, from the health departments.
So in Taylor County, you're saying out of every 100 people, there's 113
Right,
prescriptions out
so
there.
for every person in Taylor County,
So
there's
some people
more
have
than one prescription.
So some people have more than one.
It's a huge,
The prescriptions aren't necessarily written to people in Taylor County.
That's the question I was gonna ask.
yeah.
But right, cause you got a hospital in Taylor where you don't have a hospital in Lafayette, so you're probably gonna get all the Lafayette are going to.
And you get the people who try, right, they
Okay.
shop around, but yeah.
Well, you've all, I think I gotta mention too, because TOC has a place down there, doing, there's probably prescriptions being written even from Madison County and Taylor County, because TOC has their operating unit down there instead of, in addition to Tallahassee.
Right, and so what you're seeing because of that is just, and you have, you know, a large retirement population in the communities, there's a lot of pain management, and because of that, you're seeing a lot of, like, you see a lot of people 50 and over that now have a dependency on opiates and are entering treatment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please, go ahead.
you have in your analysis the types of opiates that's being prescribed.
We don't have that, I think it's right there at the top of that one on the left, is I did include a table of those, from the medical examiner's office, of those that were contributing, the opiates that were
What page is that?
contributing.
It's not, there's 16. Top right here.
But if that's information that you're interested in, I can probably get with the health department, see if they can help me lock down what exactly is being prescribed.
You know, there's also issues with what's been termed in the past doctor shopping.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
To just go from doctor to doctor to get the same.
Oh, well, and people are willing to, I know this is gonna probably show my age or mentality, but I think if people put half the effort into it, that, you know, and they use their powers for good, you know, they'd be so successful, but I get people that they'll drive 8 hours to get pills. But that also tells you how powerful, you know, how powerful that addiction is. So, some of the things that we identified as, service gaps, unmet needs in the 2 counties, is the schools have mentioned that they'd like us to expand prevention services into the middle schools, and sadly, you need them in elementary schools now as well, because of just so much, I guess, social issues now. And then the other issue that we have prevention is just, we wanna educate the community. And we, you know, think we can work with the faith, with churches and things like that, to start educating the community more about treatment options, alternatives to substance use, and getting people into, treatment. Some of the gaps we saw with treatment is there's no detox facility. All our people in Taylor County, they detox in jail. Pretty much, and so it's a huge burden, it's a huge burden on the jail. They just go to, a friend's house or something and detox. There's limited MAP, services in the 2 counties, and MAP being medication assisted, treatment. We have the shortage of behavioral health care workers, and just the, access to virtual therapy or telehealth is very limited because, there's a bandwidth problem, broadband problem, and then also you have the issue of just a lot of people are very low income, and so even though everybody has a cell phone, they maybe don't have the data, they can't afford data to do their treatment. And then in recovery, there's just a lack of AA or NA groups. There are some, but in a town as small as Madison, a town as small as Perry, the A is not real, there's no anonymous about it. And so it's not really a thing that works too well in the small communities. So what people are looking for is a bigger, more like a recovery coach or recovery community kind of, kind of initiative. And the other thing is just people have trouble getting to their appointments. They don't have cars, they don't have transportation. So these are some of the proposed activities, that we put forth in our implementation application. So if we get the $1 million grant, these are some of the things that our coalition has said, okay, we believe these are the things that we can successfully do in that 3 years' time. Is increase the community education and awareness. And that includes distribution of naloxone, which is the Narcan that you've heard of, which is the opiate overdose reversal. Training also, one of our coalition members is John Grosskopf, president of North Florida College. So we've been harnessing that relationship, and I believe St. Leo has a campus out here as well, so we're hoping to work with them to start, I don't wanna use the word breeding, but maybe start inspiring more internships and get more people involved in behavioral health that wanna stay in the town they grew up in. Also implementing and motivating physicians to participate more in the prescription drug monitoring program, so we don't get those 113 for 100 people numbers. We want to also implement early screening, early intervention. This would mean a partnership with the local police, your EMS responders, first responders, to kind of do those early screenings and say, you know what, before somebody gets themselves in trouble and ends up in jail and has a criminal record, if we can identify early that they maybe have a substance use problem, maybe we can get them treatment, keep them out of trouble. So, okay. Some of the treatment activities that we're proposing, is to increase the number of the dated 2000 DEA waiver. That just means that, a doctor or a nurse who is authorized in the state to administer Suboxone. Increase the number of support staff who can work with the MAT services programs, work with the colleges, you know, for recruitment. And then we also want to then partner with, the health departments, the local physicians, dentists, anybody, those things, basically those reasons that people are self-medicating themselves is because I don't have health insurance, so I just go out on the street and get painkillers and take care of it myself. And then also partner more with those first responders to get people early referral into treatment, get them the right kind of help. Next, thank you. The recovery, we just wanna work more with the faith community, get with the churches, to train recovery coaches. So this is similar to a AA type of program where people get a mentor or a sponsor, but it's sort of outside of the AA framework. So it's just a community-wide initiative. And then we also wanted to put together a resource guide for the 2 counties, that sort of gives people access to where can I go for medical care if I don't have insurance, you know, where can I get a dentist, those kind of things. And I'm thinking it might be an app, because an app that anybody who moves to the community can just install the app on their phone. It would be alive, any business could update or apply or be a part of it. And then you can see just the rest of the other kind of recovery things and services that we wanna be able to help people, you know, hook people up with. And again, I've talked with, some communities who said they're using the churches for transportation, that the churches provide, taking people to their, treatment appointments. So now, to the reason that we're here is the MOU, which was the memorandum of understanding, and it was originally sent out at the very beginning of the project. It is not, you know, it's not an obligation to any of you, but rather it's just an invitation to please, kind of pledge your support to the coalition efforts in the community. And in those places where either you are available to participate in a meeting or come by or be involved in a conference call, that you would do that and just show your support for what we're trying to do out here. And Taylor and Madison kinda, keep your fingers crossed that we get that, funding. And so the addendum came recently just because it was a last minute sort of change that HRSA required us to add, was just a basic structure of how the consortium operates, which is why it's just basically our typical, meeting format and agenda. So what I'm hoping, or what I'm asking for is just the permission to, draft the updated, MOU that includes the addendum, so that it's just one letter, but maybe to send a copy to each of you, to sign, so that we could have the support of each district, in our project.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner.
I have a question. I noticed Madison County had to sign off on the MOU. What about Taylor County?
Taylor County's, we didn't, I'll tell you this, Madison County has been much more receptive to our efforts than Taylor County. We've had to fight, I've got health department and people, we did finally get the sheriff to sign a letter of support, but I have not yet been able to get the commissioners out there to give me time, so if any of y'all are friends with any of them and you can do a subtle introduction, I would appreciate it. But yeah, I do not yet have an MOU from, but that's where I'm going next.
Okay.
Yes.
I may not have understood, I think though, if the board's gonna consider an MOU, it's gotta come back to a board meeting, you can't just send it to the individual commissioners.
And that's fine, right, so whatever the correct process is,
So
right,
we just notice that
absolutely,
you put it back on the.
Do we need to put it back on the agenda later?
Yeah, cause you don't have the written memorandum in front of you right now, so once that's prepared, that written memorandum would be put in the packet, you re-agenda it, you know. Take
This is,
whatever action you want.
this is an addendum to our current MOU.
exactly,
What do we
right.
got there?
And so, but it was only, I think I only sent it to, Commissioner Kelly. To
Well, it's
start
in the
with,
packet.
right.
Oh, it's in our
Okay.
packet, we have it.
But, and it is, but I mean, it's got like an agenda for a meeting or something here, it's not.
And that's the addendum that HRSA required us, the human, resources, they required us to add that to the MOU. They want it as part of the MOU.
I think that's their standard agenda, and that's part of the addendum is to have a standard agenda for them, is that
For the
correct?
coalition, right,
Right.
which is just, this is how we run our meetings, and basically what they wanna see is the evidence that we have a strong coalition, right?
Well, do we need to have a different document, or are you just looking for this document?
Well, what I'd like to do is put it together, since y'all are gonna readdress it, is what I'd like to do is just
Well,
condense it into one single document.
okay, so we can move it to the next meeting. I was gonna ask for a motion for signing the addendum. I thought that's what we were doing today.
I mean, just whatever you request.
And it is that is absolutely, you can sign that today as long as everybody understands what we're doing and is agreement with the project and the goals of what we're doing, then yes, the signature on the addendum is fine, and I can send that back to HRSA.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I would love to see Taylor County sign off on it also.
I would too.
But I understand you got a little dilemma there.
Well, I'm hoping that if y'all sign yours, I can shame them. I mean, that's kind of how, sometimes that's how it works. You can
Maybe
say,
we
"Yeah,
need
yeah,
to take the lead.
Mr. Chair, I move that we sign the agreement